So talking with Jen Fox, Fox Property Management founder, 20 plus years. Jen, so you talked to a friend of mine, Rusty, and he called me after and was like, "Man, who is this Jen Fox woman? She's like the EOS hype woman." I don't know what she said, but when I left, I wanted to go get an EOS tattoo. So so as a prompt, like like what do you tell me more? Why is that the case? I want to know the EOS story. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I think what has been most impactful to me is that, and this is kind of funny way to say it, but I started the company doing it on my own 24 years ago. But I really jumped in with a partner and started employing people about 16 years ago. And we grew this company from two of us to 40 of us, 50 of us. And we did it through just kind of who we were and how we're going to do things and values driven, but they were our values, not necessarily company values, but they were the founder and owner values. And having now engaged with EOS, I honestly wonder how we did it because,
You like got away with it somehow for 16
yeah, like
years?
literally, how did we pull that off?
Mm.
Because without establishing your core values that drive where you're going to go, without looking at your 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year, and really setting those goals, without having meetings that are truly engaging and intentional and tracking and require accountability to move things along, without having all day events where that's all you do and you're really focused on where you're going and planning for a quarter, for a year, without having a people analyzer that helps you really see, do we have the right people in the right seats, and helps you analyze not just yourselves but everybody else in a way that's really more thoughtful, because you're really thinking about the actual seat that's there and then the person and whether they fit so that they can be successful. Not just that the company's successful, that people are in the right places to add value to the company. And without an accountability chart that really lays out where people are on that chart, I don't understand how people run companies without it. And so I actually find it really interesting, because what's probably impacted me the most is it's really allowed me to re-engage with my company and where we're going in a different way and in an exciting way, because it's given us tools that are providing opportunity that I don't think would have been there without the tools. I don't even think we knew what we didn't know.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, I
And
mean,
so,
yeah.
yeah,
Who
that's
would know better than you, though? You said, like, I don't know how a company would run without EOS. I mean, you did. Somehow, were you just shooting from the hip? Were you lucky? I mean,
no, we were.
right? You can command a presence and people want to follow you. They want to root for you. So, I mean, obviously, you have that going for you. But maybe you didn't have the structure and tools to be more intentional. Like,
I think to be real straight about it, I think that lots of people who start companies might be good leaders, but they're not necessarily good managers.
sure.
And I think that this tool requires management. It requires accountability, requires leadership in a different way. And I think that, if I were to evaluate who I am and who Caleb is, who's my co-owner, we're good leaders. Like, you may choose us to captain a team and to rally the troops and to have people feel belonging and to work really, really hard and have a lot of grit and work inside of values that really mean something to us. You can count on that. And I think that's what we grew the company doing. But what we weren't necessarily great at is holding people accountable, creating structures. We're very entrepreneurial and visionary. And so what EOS brought to the company was a structure that made sure that that we're also sitting in the right seats so that the company can grow,
Yeah.
right? And the people who really thrived under that sort of leadership that helped us grow the company were people who were super operational, driven on their own, and the lack of direct management actually allowed them to flourish in a lot of ways, because they were people who were going to go get things done. And those are our leaders today, right? Yeah, so I just think that, like, under our original leadership, certain people thrived because they were so intrinsically driven themselves, and they
Yeah.
loved the culture that was created, and they jumped in and they enjoyed it and they embodied it, and they had skills that we didn't have. So they brought those skills forward, and they had the permission to do that because we were so open to change and adjustment and creating an empowering space for other people to thrive inside the company. We were really good at that part. So people who embrace that or were excited about that or thrived in that environment have done really well. And
I'm
now, yeah, go ahead.
yeah. I'm curious what you have to say. I wanted to let you talk also, but and then into the decision making, like calculus that you had when like we started working together. What, it was about a little over a year ago. I think it was
Yeah.
like May of last year, something like that.
Mm.
And what were you doing before then? And then you learned about EOS and like how did you come to decide to do this, I guess? Because there's
Yeah.
so many companies that are like, oh well, it's not quite right, it's not the right time. I'm gonna do it this way, I'm gonna do it that way. Maybe you were there a year ago. Like what was your decision making process?
So a year ago, just over a year ago, we made the decision to promote one of our key employees into the COO role,
Julie, yep. Mhm.
Julie. And and Julie in that role was very curious about the role and how she was going to interact in this role and how we were going to work together. And in her own conversations, she actually talked to another EOS, a person who's implemented EOS in their businesses in the past. And that person recommended that she read Traction. So
Yep.
she buys Traction and reads it. And she's like, "Oh, this is really cool." We already had core values that we kind of said that we had said for, meetings in past years, but we hadn't done an intentional exercise of creating what are our core values now as a company. So we turned Traction into like a book club sort of moment, right?
Totally.
Yeah,
And
we
like read
would
a
every week.
chapter, we'll talk about it. Yeah.
That's right. And so Julie facilitated it like a book club, and we all found it interesting, and we did the core values workshop or whatever, the
Exercise, yeah. Yeah.
exercise, and it was so cool. I mean, it was
Mhm.
such a great exercise, and Julie did a great job facilitating, and we were willing participants, and so we were all in. We
Totally.
also, by the way, we had 9 of us on the leadership team at the
I
time.
remember.
You do remember.
Yeah.
And so all 9 of us worked really well together in this collective exercise of establishing our core values. We rolled it out to the team, so Julie sort of took us through this exercise. And what I think is one of the key things in business is that we are connecting with other business owners all the time, right? We're learning constantly. And so she learned from another business owner about this. This business owner introduced her to this. She then brought it to us. Then I'm a member of EO, and I was at my forum and I'm talking about this new thing we're doing around Traction, this book we're reading. And one of my forum members says to me, "Oh, do you have an implementer?" And I'm like, "An implementer?" Right? I didn't
You're like, no,
know.
I've got a book and I've got a
Got
Julie.
a
Yeah.
book, and
Yeah.
I've got Julie, and we're doing these really cool things, and it's really fun and I'm enjoying it. And he's like, "Oh, you should meet our implementer." So I didn't know what that would look like, and I didn't want to be stepping on Julie's toes, but I wanted to also give her and empower her to have the support she needed around this thing she's implementing herself. And so I introduced her to you. And
Hmm.
you had a phone call with her and she found it interesting. And then we talked some more and then we decided to bring you in. And what happened is what we realized is we were a highly functioning group who was very interested in where we could go with Traction. And we thought it was really cool. And we started it on our own. But the truth was, there is no way that we would have gotten to where we are today if we didn't have an implementer in place. It just is
Yeah.
true. And it's not, Jake, you're awesome. And I think you were the perfect fit for us. And you'll be a great fit for lots. It doesn't matter. People need someone to help them who are outside, that's not inside that organization, get to the next step, who's also trained, right? So moves were Julie gets introduced to Traction, she introduces to us. I tell people what we're doing. As I'm talking to other business owners, we get introduced to you and then we take it to the next level. And so now we're a year in with you.
Yeah.
And the decisions that we've made and the progress we've made and the impact in 1 year is mind-blowing to me because without this structure, without EOS, I don't even think we'd be in the same game because we've had so much change in the last year that's been good for the business. It's also hard, right? Change is hard. There's a
Yeah.
lot of things that shift, but inside this process, change became obvious. And then we had the tools to instigate the change. And then it's the working through the change and managing the change, right? But I think about what we're doing now and the impact that we're having in our community and the work we're doing in particular areas like Sundance in particular, the people that we're meeting, the decisions that we're making, the changes in budget, the structure changes have all been based on our EOS journey. And without that journey, I don't think we would have been brave enough. I don't think we would have had the right people sitting in the right seats to get us there. I don't think we would have made the decisions we've made. Like, I just don't think we would have been positioned to take advantage of the opportunities that have come in the last year had we not made this change. And so for me, I just note it's just made a huge difference. And it really is the reason we're doing what we're doing today.
So if I heard you right, what I heard was like you've been doing this for a year and you can't imagine not having an implementer. Like going to do this on your own maybe wouldn't have worked as well. And it seems pretty black and white, night and day. Like, no, we need some outside help. And what I heard is like, Jake's fine. Get an implementer. Hey, they're all fine. They're all good. And implementer. I'll ask you too. Like, why do you think it works well with me?
Oh, well, so yeah, what I was trying to say in general is that not everybody can work with you. Some people are going to be in, I don't know, maybe everybody in the world can. You can do everything remote. What I know is that I feel very, very grateful that the person referred to us has been the perfect fit for us. I think that your style, the way you engage with our team, has allowed people to sort of relax into this process. I think you bring in the real stuff when it needs to come. You're also able to track and read our group and help us get there. So I do think the implementer and the relationship the implementer develops with the team is critical.
It
And
has to
so
work. Like, go
has to
find
work.
an implementer, and then please find one
Yes.
that fits well with your
A-
team.
And
Yeah.
interestingly, I've now met multiple implementers, and I
Mm.
am still really glad you're ours.
Oh,
I
good.
actually still think you're the right fit for our team, right? I think that it is important that there's a fit there because there has
Sure.
to be this incredible amount of trust that's developed because you're coming in as an implementer and you're disrupting in a big
Yeah.
way. It's a huge disruption
It's a big
and a
responsibility.
big
Just yeah.
responsibility. And if the person who's disrupting can't track with the team isn't vibing with that person, there's something missing around the trust relationship, you're going to have some breakdown there. So I do think
Sure.
that our experience with you is that you even though as we started, we didn't have, I mean, this buy-in was still fragile, right?
Yeah.
You had to create that relationship with the team and show the value and help us get there to establish that. So I think it's really important. I absolutely recommend you to everybody I talk to. It because of our experience with you as an implementer. I do know from my own personal experience that when you join a team, any team, you've got to know how to join in and figure out, have the emotional intelligence to be part of that team in a way that's going to establish trust and establish a powerful connection. And that's what any team you join. It doesn't matter if you were just going to go join an ultimate frisbee team, you can't come onto the team and not figure out who are my teammates, how do they like to practice, what's the
Yeah.
status with this team, how do I engage in this way in a way that I'm going to add value. It doesn't matter what team it is. And I feel like you did that. You came in and you kind of assessed. And I'm sure there were moments where you're like, oh, wow, okay. I thought we were going to do this, but I got to take this team over to the right here a little bit, based on getting to know us better. And so I think that that is an important piece that I thought you did a really good job of.
I think it was Whitney who referred you over. So you
Yes.
know
Yeah.
somebody that you like and respect that you see all the time
Yeah.
that's worked with me. That probably lends a little credibility. But
Yeah. But,
a lot of
honestly,
people that I'm talking to like aren't referred, right? They're just like, oh, I'm meeting this guy Jake for the first time, and I don't know. Like I totally recognize there's a bit of a leap of faith. Like you can read testimonials and stuff, but it's like, shoot, it's a scary decision. Like this is the guy.
yeah, I think so too. I think that I'm sure it would help a lot of people to be able to talk to some of your clients.
Sure.
Like I'd always be willing to do that as a referral. Like, hey, if you want to talk to some of the people that I work with and get a better idea of my, kind of their experience working with me, I'd always be happy to do that.
Thank you.
Because I think you're right. I did, it was, honestly, it was a leap of faith in that, yes, Whitney referred me, so that made that easy. I didn't
Hmm.
go around looking for
Yeah.
EOS implementers, but there was still this kind of learning curve of how does this work? who's this person we're working with, and then having you
Yeah.
come in, and then you've got to come in with that 90-minute sort of introduction. And it's basically there's a lot of work that comes from you on showing a team the value and then assessing whether EOS is a fit for or whether they're ready for it. I have a hard time believing it's not a fit for every single business. I
Yeah.
really do. I don't, I can't imagine. I'm sure there's probably certain sizes of businesses, but I can't think of many businesses where this isn't a fit. The
Yeah.
few people I've talked to who they've talked to me about their business and I've recommended this, they have brought this concept back to the business owner or leadership team. And these are highly dysfunctional companies. And it's interesting, though they are not interested in
Yeah,
having
yeah.
this
That is
change.
funny, isn't it? There is this
Yep.
baseline level of health that you've got to have, or there
Yeah.
just nobody can help. It's funny, the people that need it the most dysfunctional, they can't have it. It's not for
Yes.
them.
I was going to say, I've been talking to the few people I've talked to, they've just been talking about their companies, talking about this exact issues that we deal with,
Yeah.
right? From founders to accountability charts to too many people sitting in the same seat, which causes a lot of conflict and confusion to, you know, leadership issues and a 5 or 10 minute conversation. And they're like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what we need. But they cannot convince the
Hmm.
leaders who are running these companies to do this. So that is an interesting challenge. I would imagine
Yeah.
that on occasion people come to you knowing that they're leaders in the company and they know that this would benefit their company, but can they get the founders, the
Yeah.
leaders, the owners, the CEOs, whatever to get on board? Because as
Yeah.
we know, that's challenging. I know being a founder and owner, some of the challenges that you face when you take on this process. And you have to be
There's a lot of
willing.
humility in this, right? Like,
Yes, humility. And you have to be willing to understand that the company is bigger than you.
mhm.
It is not, this company is not for me, by me, because of me. It has a bigger purpose, right? And so if
Mhm.
you are a founder or owner who is attached to it being your way, to it being only a reflection of you, that the core values are your core values only, it just, this process doesn't work
That
very
is
well.
so fair and so true. And as much as some people want to theoretically, intellectually do EOS, they can't make that leap and that jump, and it's kind of too bad. The other side of that coin is only because they have that kind of energy does the company exist in the first place, right? But it's one of those what gets you here might not get you there kind of
Right,
thing. And I know that you've had so many years of sort of like not being able to break through to this whatever next level, and like it was hard work. Like yeah, we started with 9 people in the room, and what did I say from day one? I mean, I want to back up a little bit. We did do that 90-minute meeting, which is just that doesn't cost anything. It costs us 90 minutes of our time, everyone. But it's like,
right.
here's what we're doing. And then I go away and you talk behind my back and you're like, hey, do we want to do this or not? So I
Right.
think that's a pretty easy step. I encourage a lot of founders who are waffling, oh, like you don't have to know that you're going to do it to do that 90-minute meeting. You
Yeah,
do that, then you go to the next step after that, one step at a
that's
time.
right.
And
Yeah,
and from day one, I think even at the 90-minute meeting, I was like, boy, it's a lot of people in the room. And
right.
then the first few days, like, man, we sure do got a lot of people here. Like, I don't see everybody's name fitting on the accountability chart. What do we do? And 9 could be fine, but like, what are you now? I think you're 6
We're six.
now.
I think your sort of evaluation was that five would be right. Um, but we
Or
kind of
4,
landed
5,
at
6,
six.
7. Yeah,
Yeah, and we landed at six.
and
And
6
it's,
is great. I
I
love
think it's
6. Yeah.
working for us really well. I think that there's a couple things. One is that when you come in the room and when you start these conversations, like I said, you're a disruptor. People are already looking at where do I fit and how's this
Hmm.
going to impact me? And so after 90 minutes with you, it is very possible that you have some people who may be like, I don't think we need this, or I don't, or
Yeah, I really value my job. Why don't think
right,
we should do this? Yeah.
or I think we can do this ourselves, or this is
Hmm.
expensive, or there's going to be all sorts of
Hmm.
different things that are going to happen. And I think the more people in the room, the more variety of that response, right? But it absolutely requires and required from us the willingness to give this a try. You just
Yeah.
just had to, because even if you didn't like, hey, this is what an an accountability chart looks like, and we're looking at it and saying, well, we don't have, a director of marketing and sales. We don't have that.
Right.
And that's okay. But initially it's like, what is, without all the knowledge and all the background, people I think at first can be uncertain. Like, how does this fit for me? How does this work for me? But the tools are so much bigger than just that. And then you start to realize, when you start to realize that one person can sit in multiple seats, a small company, if they started with this foundation, it would be incredible. I mean, I think about, like, if we had done this 10 years ago, what would have happened?
Yeah.
Right? It would have been, I think, really, really, really helpful to us.
Yeah.
And even now that we've been engaged for a year, we're still finding ourselves saying, you know, could, maybe we should have done this before we did this. And, it's not like we do it perfect. Oh, we did EOS, so now we're perfect. Our accountability chart just works. That's just not true. We need to look at it, but it also gives us, I think this may be a new kind of topic, but I think is important, is I think one of the greatest values is the common language that we've now established.
Sure.
And that has come through EOS. It's allowing for difficult conversations because we have a common language where we can
Yeah, you
have.
break it down to right people, right seats. Instead of telling six different stories about Nancy or whoever, you're like,
Right.
well, let's put it on,
Yeah.
on a piece of paper and the
Yeah.
people analyze, right?
I think that the L10 meetings and
Mhm.
that trickle down of EOS through our company has made a huge difference. We are actually identifying issues much more quickly based on scorecards. So the fact that we have scorecards now, we are now identifying when an issue is coming up. We're identifying a people challenge quicker. So things that might have just gone under the radar or been left aside or forgot about for months don't get forgotten about because of L10 meetings.
Yeah,
And
so you're not tolerating mediocre performance, or you're making sure people get stuff done and stuff isn't falling through the cracks. I wanted to bring it to, like, we don't need to get into too much detail of all this stuff necessarily, but like there's been, from my outside perspective, some kind of seismic shifts like that, and that is scary for somebody who's looking to do EOS. Like, I don't want to blow it up and kill it. I don't want to fire everybody, and that's not at all the point. But it's
Mhm.
to run your business. Let's have a business on purpose instead of business, on accident. So yeah, going from nine to six. Yeah, I remember you had like you had core values that you'd done. You're kind of self-implemented a little bit, and you had six or seven core
Mhm.
values. And like
Yeah,
we put that through the test, and I think some of them survived a little bit, but nobody could remember exactly what they were. And you have three now, right?
yeah,
And then there are things that you actually hire and fire and promote people based on. Not that three is necessarily better than seven, right? But like I I challenged
yeah.
you, I think is fair to say. And like,
Well, we did have six that we came up with through the traction exercise.
yep.
We embraced those in a big way, and we actually did know them. We
Mhm.
talked about them every single month. We did workshops on them. We did all sorts of things that everybody could recite them. Everyone knew them.
Oh, I
But
take it back. They were super ingrained. Then I did.
they were actually really ingrained,
Mhm.
and we use them all the time. And we had big, like, dice made that were like rolling dice that were soft that had the core values on them.
Yeah.
We would do, every month we had a meeting and we'd do something on a core value. We'd do our shout outs based on those core values. So I think for somebody who's listening to this who has core values that they think are locked in, we thought we had locked in core values. We were using them in our reviews, everything. But what we were starting to notice is that the core values, even though they were clear, like, they might be something like enjoy the ride, but what does that actually mean? And when you started really trying to evaluate that and have conversations with people, the understanding of the core value was varied in a big
Mm.
way. And so what we noticed is that we took those six core values and we pulled them into three that made
Mhm.
more sense. And
Yeah.
so the exercise and even the challenge of, hey guys, are these truly your core values? Do they work in your evaluation of each other, the company, the decisions you're making? Or are they a little bit confusing? Or have you noticed over time that they don't really align the way you thought they did? And so just being challenged to be in that conversation helped us reevaluate them. So I would say that you may run into companies who think they are dialed in on their core values. And it still doesn't mean that there's not an opportunity to reassess them as they start to have
Yeah.
more knowledge about their company. Because after 6 months of working with you and really looking at our company, that's when we were able to revisit those. I think a couple times, Jake, you recommended we do it and we weren't ready for it.
Yeah. That's
We're like,
fine.
no,
Yeah.
they're fine right now. But
Okay.
then there became
Yeah.
the time where we're like, all right, we're ready to take those on. Let's see where we're at now. And we were able to distill them down to 3 rather than having this more nebulous 6.
But I think this continually the theme that I'm seeing from this is that a lot of this comes back to you in a way. Like, sure, I'm an EOS implementer, I'm Jake, and I have my own style, but if you are not willing to go there and be open and humble and like really take a backward step and think about what's the greatest good of the company,
Mhm.
that seems to be the key. That's the key. And frankly and truly, don't do it if you're not willing to do that because I think you're wasting your time. I don't want to change your core values necessarily, but I want you to have strong ones that you believe in. Just the more
But
you
it,
talk, I'm like applauding you as Fox property manager for being willing to go there. It's a two-way street. Otherwise, it's not a lecture, it's a conversation. So
I think through the years, I've had multiple times where I've been challenged as an owner and a founder to become a better leader. And I don't think we're ever done learning, right? We're never done learning, getting better at it, being more self-aware, being more thoughtful, asking more questions, being more curious. That like really can't end. But I'll tell you what, if you're the truth is that's what we should all be doing if we're leading companies is we should all have that sort of mindset. And I think the companies with that mindset are going to do the best inside EOS,
yeah.
most likely, right? And so a company that has that mindset already can function. It doesn't mean that we weren't functioning. We were obviously for a really long time. But if you don't have that mindset, then you get in the way of the rest of your team being able to make change. That's the thing that I think is really important is, there's this owner position that we call the shots and owner privilege, but the truth is the company runs because other people are engaged in what the company's doing. Other people are bought in. Other people feel empowered by the direction we're going. And if you think as a founder that a company is going to grow and thrive because you're running the show and it's all about you and it's your core values and it's your decisions, it's really limiting to the company, I think.
From my outside perspective, there's three big things that have happened in the last year working
Mhm.
together. So I'm going to tell you each and then talk about each of them if you want to. So
I
like
can't wait
one
to hear
is,
what they are.
please tell me if I'm wrong too. Maybe you're thinking something else. So one, there's key people and you had some key people changes.
Yep.
Number two was you had some major rethinks, like structurally, how do we set up this department? Is it
Yes.
with people? Is it internal? Is it external? And then the
Right.
third one is I'm going to call it profit guilt as an issue. Like there's a
Mhm.
we all have money baggage, right? But
Yeah.
there's some kind of I've got to be a good person and maybe I shouldn't make too much profit. That's my take. What do you think about those three? Would you
Yeah, I
change
think
them?
those okay. So, number 1 was the people changes. So, I think that when we first read Traction, in reading the book, you could already tell there were gonna be changes that were gonna happen if we moved
Hmm.
forward, because difficult conversations were gonna come up.
Hmm.
And so it's not like the people change it's not like everything was going swimmingly. There were challenges, but we didn't know how to address them. We did not have the tools for it, we didn't have the language for it, we
Yeah.
didn't have the structure for we didn't know how to truly impact or make a change, right? But what we knew is when we start having these conversations, this is gonna be interesting. So we knew
Hmm.
going into it that something was gonna happen. We didn't know, but we knew that change was gonna happen, right? And so I
But
think
for you as well, too, Jen, right? Like as owner, like maybe you're taking somewhat of a step back theoretically, and maybe you're focusing on one thing and not another thing.
yeah, I can tell you, I haven't really said this out loud, but this is really true. We brought Julie on into the COO role. She goes and implements Traction. I'm already taking a back seat. She's running the meetings. I'm not even running them anymore.
Mhm.
I had to step I had to step back and fully give her like, and it wasn't because I wasn't willing to. There was a little part of me that felt guilty or that somehow I wasn't performing or I wasn't doing my part or I was dropping this on someone else to do. Like, I think a lot of leaders will second guess themselves or think they are somehow not doing what they should do by giving this up a little bit, you know? And so I've constantly for years been figuring out how do I step back? How do I what do we say? Elevate and delegate, delegate and elevate. How do
Delegate and
I
elevate.
get out of the way? Because even in my best intentions, my my impact is sometimes different than what my intention was. So it started immediately with reading traction. What we knew
Mhm.
people were going to need to change, and I could see it myself immediately. And then I could watch as soon as you came in, and I could see where the challenges were going to be based on how people were responding to what change was going to look like. So
Yeah.
I knew it needed to happen because we were being held back by the way we were running our business and the people in the seats they were in. There was an inability to move forward because of it. And it didn't mean that we had to move on from everybody. It just meant that we needed to be able to evaluate and make changes that were best for the company.
Yeah, and I mean that was hard. You've got people that have been working there for a really long time.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sympathetic to that too, but it's like we all we're on the same bus and we got to be moving forward. And if we're not, then hard decisions. You made some hard decisions, and I know that it was hard for you, and we couldn't do it in one day. Like we kind of had to get a little
Hmm.
closer each time.
I
Glad you
think,
made those. I mean,
oh
it
yeah,
was hard.
very, very glad we made them. And the truth is that lots of hard decisions, I think they ultimately, everyone, when you go through the process, everyone knows if you're doing the process, when the decision's made, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Even if it's hard, it makes sense. And it even makes sense for the people who the decision impacted, ultimately.
Yeah.
So sometimes being nice is making hard decisions. It's not necessarily nice
Mhm.
to keep people in a position where they're not the right fit.
Right. When you're being nice to one person, you might be being
Right.
mean to
It's
everybody else in the entire company. 'Cause,
in the
yeah.
culture and the impact on the culture when you don't have a structure that's benefiting the culture or the right people in the right positions to, and we always say right people, right seats, but right people, right
Yeah.
seats for
If you
so many
allow
years.
one person or a few people to not live up to the core values or not be good at their job, GWC their seat, everybody looks at you and they call BS on you.
Right.
Right.
And they don't even always know that they are. They just
Well, that's
have a
true.
feeling, right? That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's a sense or a feeling or, that impacts then how other people feel in the company or disempowers people because they're like, well, they're never going to make a change. That's a bummer. Right.
So,
So I think
eh,
I think that the people thing was a really big deal. And any time human beings are being impacted, it matters, right? But I think
oh
there
yeah.
are a lot of companies that are stuck with the wrong people in the wrong seats, and it is making it very difficult for the company.
And I
And so,
bet they would feel like they're held hostage and there's nothing they
yeah.
can do. It's too important. They're too good at their job. I know you ended up making a change, and that gets into the second thing, which is the restructuring, how you
Mhm.
thought a department might work. Maybe you could touch on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing was putting ourselves in this accountability chart, right? And
Yeah.
really seeing where the gaps were. That was very interesting.
Just
And
looking, the department is supposed to do these five things, like as a
right.
starting point. Yeah.
Just even understanding. I mean, we had some stuff where we had all operational and corporate finance all in the same spot. And
Hmm.
actually they needed to be in different places. And we
Hmm.
had majority of our business is in operations, right? But we had a huge gap in sales and marketing. There was literally not a discussion of sales and marketing until we had this accountability chart that forced us to look at what a complete company looks like and then, do we have the right people for those seats? If we don't, let's start interviewing people. I can't even tell you how many interviews Julie and some of the others of us have been in to understand what good structure and good people in the right seats would look like. So we have had referrals from you, interviews where we've talked to all sorts of C-suite level, you
Like
know,
informational interviews, right? Like just like tell me what
informational.
I don't know. Like, yeah.
Exactly. Marketing, revenue,
Hmm.
CFO, operational. We have talked to so many people, like the amount of learning that has gone
Hmm.
into understanding the structure and how we could create this structure to work for us has been again, would not have happened if we weren't looking at this accountability chart and saying, all right, what's missing? What do we need? What do we have in place? What roles are we trying to fill? Who's sitting in what seats? What seats can have a person sitting in two seats? Because right now that's what we need. So a lot there. I mean, our biggest structural change was in operations. And honestly, that's still in process, right? We're
Sure.
working through that structure, and that's we're training in it and really trying to operate in that new operational structure, from leasing to our asset managers to property managers. So that's a big change in there. So a lot of effort going there. And then we've had a lot of structural change really everywhere, right? Now we have a sales and marketing team and we're putting that together. And then we have over on the finance and admin side that also has had the least amount of change, but it's required a lot of thought and a lot of consideration. And we've made some big moves with our trust accounting and our corporate accounting that have really impacted that. So again, the
It
didn't
starts with like, what is this department supposed to do? Like as simple as that is. And like
yeah,
that was a hard question to answer and everybody kind of as a unified front. And then you went out and you just, yeah, you talked like, what's a fractional CMO? Let's go talk to a few. What's a fractional CFO do? Let's go talk to a few. What is a CRO? I don't exactly know. Go talk to a few. Like, right. I think you had a lot of those kinds of interviews.
completely. And what's funny is I'm a big believer in that, it's like every action creates new opportunity, right? So you introduced us to somebody who owns a fractional C-suite
Jill,
company.
maybe. Yeah.
And by meeting Jill,
Yeah. She's got like a fractional executive for all the different departments, right?
tons of those people, but she also introduced us to a completely new opportunity in Denver, which we've just been joined into. The amount of people we have met and the amount of things that we have learned in the last year just from that introduction
Hmm.
is crazy. So again, it's like
It's
anything
awesome.
we do. When we take action, new things happen. The more we're open to what is possible, the more people we meet, the more opportunities show up that we would never have even anticipated. And
Yeah.
so that introduction to Jill led us to a lot of knowledge and then led us to meet new people who have then created new opportunities, who've helped us in our structuring of our sales and marketing. It is just, it's very hard to even, the flow chart is incredible, right? From understanding ourselves better to what it creates for the company. It's next level opportunities that show up that you don't even know are there.
Open to it, right? It keeps going back to that for me over and over again. Like you want to learn, you're
Right.
open, you know where you're at, and you know where your future state should
Yeah.
be, like where you want it to be,
Yeah.
and you're willing to have those conversations. So,
Yeah.
and then yeah, I can point you into some directions you can go learn some stuff, but like
Right.
it's so fueled by you. And then I guess last, I say profit guilt as a term.
Yeah.
I don't know that everybody in the leadership team has that necessarily, but am I fair to say there's a touch of that?
Yeah,
Or
I think what's important to say is that we built this company. It initially started as a lifestyle company, right?
Mhm.
And what we wanted is we wanted a culture that was very supportive of the people working in the company and very supportive of continuing to invest in the company. And we spent a lot of energy in that. And I think that what we didn't do is think about who how much money we were making. We never saw it that way. And neither
Because
Caleb
you
or
just love people so much. Like that is such one of your
we were
greatest strengths, right? Like just like you want to
we were
build this great
not,
opportunity. Yeah.
yeah, we were not driven to make money. We were driven to grow a company that people love to work at.
Hmm.
And so money was important, that we were hitting payroll and we were doing stuff. And certainly Caleb and I have made money through the years. We've paid ourselves, but we were never really looking at it like, what's the profit margin on this business? We weren't looking at it from that lens. And the truth is it was a disservice to us as a company, because the better we do as a company, the better everyone does. And so when we aren't making decisions grounded in a budget, grounded in a financial plan that we've put together that is protecting some profit, then we're just saying yes to things. And at the end of every year, we just kind of see what happens. And that isn't actually what we found out from our leadership team, is that doesn't really support them. It seems like
Hmm.
this incredible generosity, but the truth is
Hmm.
lack of boundary, lack of structure, lack of goals around that really makes it hard for people to make decisions.
Hmm.
And so having that structure has made a big difference for us. And we've had to get past it, you know, that somehow profit is just for for us, right? And the truth is, when we are a profitable company, everybody wins. When we're a profitable company, we can be more generous as a company, right? When we're a profitable company, we can pay people more money. The, the more profitable we are, the better everybody does. So it is really just seeing it through a different lens and getting comfortable with you can be a company owner who makes money owning a company. It's okay. It's not a
Yeah, it's kind of
nonprofit,
it's a both and it's not an either
right?
or where I think a lot of people see it's black and white. Like I can either
Yeah.
be like loving of my people or be a, merciless, cruel, money hungry, profit-centered person. And it's like, no, no, we can do both. And actually they do
Yes.
help each other. And I've seen you live in that gray more now. And
Yeah.
we talk about that sometimes in sessions. Like, is it okay that we make profit? Hey guys, what could we do with the profit? What if we did have an extra 5% profit this year? Like, what are some ideas? And
Well, and what's interesting is I think some companies have profit share. They have some other things that
mhm,
maybe motivate
sure,
profit on a different level. So, for example, it might be something we consider as a company at some point that as an ownership group, we are more motivated that profit is higher because other people benefit besides just us, which seems
yeah,
nuts, but that's probably more in alignment with Caleb and I than anything. If
yeah.
everybody wins because we win, we like that. So, okay, so then
So does everybody else. Everybody wins. Yeah.
how do we create a structure that really feels great that when we say, hey, this was the profit this year, and everybody's like, yes, because they get a check too, maybe that's one of the things that drives, maybe that's one of the changes we need to make, right? That would help us embrace profit on a different level. I would also say that in our process, we have just engaged with our outsourced trust accounting firm, Profit Coach, and
Mm.
we're kind of added a new engagement with them that's all about a dashboard and helping us hit a higher profit. So we are making decisions now that are getting us in going that direction, which I think is really positive. And we just
And you're not doing it in a way that's like, let's screw a bunch of people so we can like not at all. Like
where are
you're
the
having
opportunities or where are the things that we're missing or how can we be a little more accountable to holding that line or where do we have inefficiencies and getting that support from an outside perspective that's looking in at our corporate accounting and seeing what's
yeah.
happening on how we're doing things. And so we just made that decision, which shows that it may have taken us a year and we may still struggle in that, but we are making moves that are considering that. So we're taking that knowledge and that information in and making changes. And I think that's good.
And then you're on the path. So I think let's move towards wrapping up. Like I said, is there any kind of a final thought for somebody who's on the fence with EOS? I'm gonna guess you're gonna say, "Hey, go do EOS. It's amazing, fantastic. Go talk to Jake." But there's also this subtext of like maybe you're not ready as an owner that I'm hearing from you. But you say it in your own words. How about?
Okay.
That's okay too if you say it like that.
Yeah.
I'm totally
No,
fine with
no,
that.
here's what I'd say. There are lots of decisions we make in life that change the trajectory of our life that we're not ready for. How often are you ready to have your first child?
Or get married. Yeah.
Get married or buy a house that is going to stretch you
Change
or
careers. Yeah.
change careers or make a decision to move or whatever.
Hmm.
We
Never.
are often not ready. And if you are always sitting on the sideline waiting to be ready for life to happen, you usually don't make a lot of decisions because no one ever feels ready. That is
Mm,
usually if they're ready, it's because there's some crisis going. That's the most ready they
mm.
get. They're not ready because they've just always been waiting for that opportunity. And so I think that this is another example of not, it has nothing to do with whether you're ready or not, because
Yeah.
you won't be ready and there's going to be so much you don't know. It's like you have to want something more for your company and for the people that work there. You have to know that there is no way that you're doing it all right and that there aren't opportunities for growth. And if the company's objective and your objective is, I want to keep moving this company forward, I want to develop personally and professionally myself, and I want my staff to be able to develop personally and professionally, and I want our company to keep moving forward in a way that's going to make us a better company, then you have to be making decisions that are uncomfortable. That's it. I mean, and it's not because you're ready. Oh my gosh, if you can do this while you're not in crisis, that would be good.
It'd be better, right?
right?
Yeah.
You don't need to be in crisis when you make a decision like this. The best time to do it is when you're not in crisis, when you're
Yeah.
like, we're actually pretty good. I mean, we definitely came into this, Jake, thinking we were pretty good.
Yeah.
We
And
did.
you are pretty good in lots of ways. Like, of course, right?
Totally. We didn't come in going, oh man, we are in crisis. We got to figure out how to get rid of people. We got to change the
Yeah.
structure. We
Yeah.
had a driven COO who thought it would be interesting to kind of reset on some stuff, was introduced to a book that brought up some really cool ideas. We all jumped in and loved the things that we were doing. And then to support her, I introduced her to you. And then we learned more from you and realized that the outside support would probably get us there faster. That was it.
That's
And
it.
if you can come from that place, then there's so much possibility. I think waiting till you're in crisis, waiting until your company's going out of business is too it won't it will be harder.
Yeah.
And so I think the healthier you are as a company, the more likely you are to say yes to this.
Well said. Great parting thoughts. Way to bring us home on that,
Okay, yeah,
Jen.
because I actually think I think we were really healthy in a lot of ways, but
Hmm.
and I use this phrase, I wear it out, but what you don't know
Hmm.
is probably the thing we most is most important to understand is how much you don't know. And so I think, yeah, that opportunity for growth, which is what motivated me too. I didn't know where this was going to take us. I had no idea. But I am so glad that Julie introduced it, that Whitney referred you, that we took the risk and jumped in to invest in ourselves as a company. It's an investment in yourself as a company.
To sum it up from my perspective as well, listening to you, as great as EOS might be, as great as it might be to work with this, me or somebody else, you've shown me over and over again, you return to this humility, this openness, this what is the best thing for my business kind of mentality. That like, man, if you've got that, then go do it. If you don't have that, I'm inclined to say, don't do it. It's
Yeah,
not
you
for
might
you.
not be a fit. It might not be a
Yeah.
fit.
If you're gonna
Yeah,
go check a box, like go do something else. Like work with
yeah,
somebody else. I gotta say,
100%.
there's a short list of clients who have really bought into this and all out. And like just I feel so honored to work with Fox Property
It's
Management and like
awesome.
bringing me into the circle of trust and watching you from an outside perspective is such a treat for me.
Yeah. Oh, I love that, Jake. Thanks for saying that. And yeah, we are grateful for you too. And we're grateful for the tools and we're grateful for how you've implemented it for us in a way that, I mean, everybody's excited for our next quarterly. That's a great thing. People look
Yeah.
forward to that, right? And it gives us something to it just has established a structure and a cadence and the confidence that we can continue to move the company forward and we are not just floating out there trying to figure out what's next. And so
Feels like such a forcing function for you every quarter. Like, oh shoot, that's coming up soon. We better finish up that project and clear our plates
100%.
so we can take on more for the next quarter. And
That's
I
right.
see such a tendency to coast. If you're not having a meeting like that for 6 months, then maybe take it a little slower.
One of the things I've noticed is because of the structure of EOS in our company, there is much less nonsense, gossip, having
Yeah.
conversations about things that go nowhere because you're just frustrated about something, wasted time, one-off conversations with people that aren't with the group. There is so much less of that because there is a vehicle to have those conversations with everybody at any time. And the amount of time that saves and the impact on the culture is really good.
I'm so glad you said that because so many people think, oh, I've got to do EOS also on top of everything I'm already doing. And if you're looking at it that way, it's the wrong perspective. It's like, no, if you do it right, you end up doing less better.
That's right.
And you're
That's right.
focusing. So like what you just said, how many one-on-one and one-on-two conversations and like gossipy, like, oh, hey, don't tell
Right.
so. And now you're more of a culture of, hey, we have a L10 next week. Can we just talk about this then when we're all there? Or hey,
Oh,
we're about to have a quarterly session. Great topic. Let's bring that up there. So.
people put difficult issues. They just
Hmm.
put it right on that agenda. And
Yep.
we're going through our issues. And I'm like, oh, who added
Oh,
this?
woof.
And
That's
people
kind of
are
scary.
right. People are willing to put the difficult issue on and then say what it is. And because it's basically a circle of trust that's been established and people are getting used to being able to handle feedback and difficult conversations, we just dig in and go. And it
Yeah, we
is
don't have to solve them all, right? Like sometimes you can't get to it and it stays on the list and you get to it
totally,
later, but yeah.
totally, but it's allowing. for things to get done. And yeah, it's just, yeah. So I just can't, I really, Jake, you can always use me as a resource if someone
Oh,
just wants
thank
to
you.
talk about it. Anybody on our team would do that.
Yeah.
It's just, I think it's a real gift to companies who are ready for it or not ready for it, but are willing
Yeah.
to explore it. And I would say to any company owner out there, it is not about being ready. It's about knowing that there's something more for your company and being curious about it. And then also understanding the impact that it will have on more than just you and your bottom line, but on everybody that works there, because it really creates structure and possibility that doesn't exist when you don't have the, the kind of structure to work inside of, I think.
Well, I could
So
talk to you for hours and hours and just, spend your whole
I know
afternoon.
it's fun. I
I
love
love
talking about
chatting
this.
with you. But
I know it's great. I appreciate you,
yeah.
Jake, really do. And I'm so glad that hopefully some of my feedback helps other people like consider. And at least that's what I say to anybody I talk to. I'm like, have Jake come in for 90 minutes. It doesn't cost you anything. You'll learn
Yeah.
so much. And then I always
Totally.
refer the book. I think giving people the book, I've
Sure.
actually given people the book or sent it to them and said, just read this book first so you kind of get a gist of it. And then, give them a call, but have them come in because they'll talk to you. Jake will talk to you. He'll come in and meet with you, you know, so, and then do you meet with, it's probably better to be in person, huh? Or are you willing to talk with people across the country?
No, I mean, half my clients are fully virtual.
I think
So I
that's
think it
important for
works really
people to know
well.
that it can be
Yeah.
virtual. I mean, we have you in person.
Hmm. But you
But
happen to live right near my Boulder session room
that's right.
now. So like half my clients
I'm
are
five
doing
minutes
that.
from you right now in your Boulder
Oh,
session room.
nice.
I'm sitting up
You're in
right near
Boulder now.
Chicago. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's important. And that's something that I hadn't really thought through because most people I'm talking to locally, but I'll keep that in mind.